How would you briefly describe your work in emergency preparedness, what you're doing or what you have done, to someone unfamiliar with what you do?
Sure. So we took advantage of the grant opportunity to really examine what our emergency preparedness plans look like here in Kentucky, and then we're partnering with the state of Georgia as well. So we wanted to take the plans at the state level and then at the AAA level to see if what they included, what the steps would be in a disaster. And it was kind of funny because we wrote for this grant at the beginning of the pandemic, so early on in 2020. But it's the pandemic has lasted a very, very long time. And even through the pandemic, Kentucky, we suffered several other disasters. We had a pretty devastating tornado in December of 2021. So taking the information of what's currently in those emergency preparedness plans and then surveying, we did so many surveys. So we surveyed over 151 senior centers in Kentucky and Georgia to ask them what was in their disaster plan. So we've taken those plans to see what the steps they take are when something happens, when they have to shut down their congregate site. What do they do? What do they contact their participants? Do they stop providing meals? What do you do? Is there a phone tree? So we've taken those plans, we've done all these surveys. We reached out to over 4,000 seniors in Kentucky and Georgia to ask them about what they've done during the pandemic, what they've done during the disaster. Did they have the resources they needed at home? Did they have the food? Did they have those paper towels? Did they have the toilet paper? So we really wanted to take a look at what the situation was, and thinking not even this pandemic, the next pandemic, or hopefully not another pandemic, the next disaster. What's the next disaster that's going to happen, and preparing for those. So we're working really hard with some folks at the National Foundation to End Senior Hunger and at the University of Kentucky Human Development Institute to develop a template of sorts for senior centers, congregate meal sites to fill out to create their disaster plan. Just a template they can follow to make sure that they're covering points A, points B, point C, point D, and not forgetting anything, so that they really can be better prepared for the next disaster.
What successes are you've seen thus far in your project?
One of the biggest successes that we've seen is our plan was to start out with just conversations with the state of Georgia and with here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, having those conversations at the state level about what disaster plans look like, what emergency preparedness plans look like. But because of the pandemic lasting so long, we had a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra funding because we weren't able to utilize the funds exactly like we thought we were. So we expanded to start surveying other state units on aging, asking them what their plans look like. So we were able to call folks up in 25 additional states to talk about what their disaster plans look like, what they've learned from the pandemic, their lessons learned that they would do differently. So it's been very fortunate that we've been able to expand the scope of our project to get information for more than just Georgia and Kentucky.
What challenges are you experiencing or have you experienced?
So the challenge that we experienced was like all other state units on aging, all other centers across Kentucky, was the shutdown. So centers were shut down. People were not working the way they normally work. Operations changed. So that was probably the biggest challenge. But in that challenge, when we're trying to conduct these surveys and reach out to our home delivered meal clients, the folks that were senior center participants that were now getting those home delivered meals, was working with the senior centers to reach those individuals. But those senior center staff were working twice as hard to continue to provide services during a global pandemic. So there's a lot more pressure on those direct service providers.
What would you tell other agencies looking to do something similar?
The biggest thing that I would recommend to other agencies is finding those partners, finding those folks that you can work with that have similar interests, that have similar missions and goals and visions, and working together and sharing knowledge and sharing resources, and not trying to do everything on your own. You know, we've learned so much during these last 2 years that you really have to come together, work together, pool resources, pool knowledge, and become a team.
What is one thing you wish you would have known before you began this project?
The thing that I wish I'd known before we began this project is how long the pandemic was really going to last. And here in Kentucky, things lasted a little bit longer. Our centers were shut down a little bit longer. Our state leaders took a little bit different approach than some other states had taken. So it we had to change timelines. We had to adjust our work plan timelines because of senior centers not opening back up when we thought they would. Normal operations not even still fully being at capacity. I think another great thing that came out of this opportunity, we like to use the word opportunity in our department. The other opportunity that came out is these curbside meals. Curbside meals have been such a hit and has really helped us reach a whole new group of folks who we weren't reaching before. And so then we're not just providing them a meal, we're providing them with our monthly newsletter. We're providing them with information on vaccines. We're providing them information when it comes to examining their Medicare benefits. So it's really expanded that group of folks that we hadn't touched before. And it's just been wonderful to have so many new people that know the good work that we do. You know, we're not the best kept secret anymore. We're getting the word out. We're letting folks know that this is available.
What's one interesting fact or fun fact about you?
Besides being a huge karaoke, Vanilla Ice Baby expert, my superpower, I have a superpower that not a whole lot of people have. I can fold a fitted sheet to where it looks like it came right out of the package.
Thank you for joining us for our Network Spotlight. If you or someone you know would like to be spotlighted, please email nrcna@iowa.gov.